season is back. What is going on, y'all? Five Sports Talk back at it with another video. Talking, of course, NFL because like I just mentioned, football season is back. And it is now time to get in the swing of things as we just had, of course, the Hall of Fame game. And now preseason is underway. And before we know it, the regular season will be here, which means it is time to start talking fantasy football, folks. Okay, a couple of housekeeping items here before I get started with today's video about fantasy football, in which I will be giving you guys tips and tricks on how to win your fantasy football league. I do want to point out, last year I had my own fantasy football league for you guys, my subscribers, and it was a 20-man league, which yours truly did end up winning. Now, folks, I didn't rig anything. Trust me. I did not expect to win. Well, actually, I shouldn't say I didn't expect, because I always expect to win, but I didn't actually think, it might have actually happened, because I think my subscribers are just as smart as I am. So, with that being said, I'm glad that I was able to win that first annual championship in my Five Sports Talk league. And the good news is I am relaunching that same league for this football season. So it is going to be the same type of format with 20 people. So 19 really, because I am, of course, in the league. So you get to go up against me. So I'm going to post the link to sign up for that league below. Make sure as soon as this video is up, you guys go ahead and sign up under that link, because the spots are going to be taken up real quick and you don't want to miss out. And there is going to be a prize at the end, probably a monetary prize. It could also be a trophy as well, but believe me, there's going to be incentive. And I do want to say one thing: please, 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 only join this league if you're going to be serious about it and if you're going to pay attention all season long. I don't like it when folks, kind of just, forget to set the rosters, don't do enough research, don't make the right moves and whatnot. So only for folks that are active, and I made it 20 people, so I know it's a lot, but I want as many people as can be in the lead. Okay, so go ahead and sign up for that link down below. With that being said, make sure, if you guys are new to the channel, go ahead and subscribe. Links down below. Turn on post notifications. Follow me on my social media. All of that good stuff in the description down below. But with that being said, let's talk about today's video. 5 tips and tricks on how to win your fantasy football league. Number 1 on how to win your fantasy football league: please make sure you know your league scoring format, scoring system, okay? A lot of people don't look at this and they always make this mistake. This is a pre-draft tip, so I'm going to be mentioning you guys whichever tips in this video are for pre-draft and which ones are for post-draft. This is certainly pre-draft because it's going to completely change your draft strategy, folks, because if your league is a PPR league, which is point per reception, or if it's a non-PPR league, that is going to dictate which players, which positions you draft in your league. So if it's a PPR league, obviously you will know that wide receivers are valued more because receptions are valued more, as opposed to non-PPR league in which you might target running backs more. So this is key for a lot of folks who don't pay attention to it, because this is going to change, like I mentioned, your draft strategy. Take, for example, if touchdowns are worth 4 points or 6 points by quarterbacks, that will value or devalue a quarterback and will base where you might draft a quarterback in that draft. So this is a huge, huge tip a lot of people don't pay attention to. So make sure you know your your league scoring format. And if you don't, go ahead and find out, ask your lead manager, your commissioner, whatever else, but make sure you know that before you guys draft, okay? A tip number 2 is you have to do your research before. Now, this obviously could sound like a pretty obvious tip in doing your research, but a lot of people go into these fantasy football, drafts thinking that, they know a few players and they'll be fine. They know the big names and whatnot, but no, the depth charts change every season. You've got rookies coming in. You've got players from free agency switching teams. You've got a bunch of different things, and you're going to want to do your homework. You're going to want to do your research. How do you expect to succeed at something if you don't put in the work? You're just going to have to do it. But here's the thing, and this is where I'll help you. You don't have to know every single, team's depth chart. You don't have to know the fourth string running back. You don't have to know the fifth string wide receiver. It would help, but you don't have to. And here's what I would recommend, okay? Go ahead and go on a website like ESPN or Yahoo, search up, Google, NFL fantasy football cheat sheets, okay? This is what I do personally, so giving you guys my tips straight from what I do. Google cheat sheet for fantasy football, and it's going to pull up, the exact rosters for every single team in the NFL. It's going to pull up the depth chart. It's going to pull up positional rankings. It's going to talk about who you should draft where, which quarterbacks are ranked, which wide receivers are ranked, where they're ranked, and it's going to give you a great perspective on where you should draft certain players and where certain players are on the depth chart. It's going to save you a lot of headache. You just have your cheat sheets in front of you when you're drafting, and when it's your turn to draft, you know exactly who you are looking at, instead of, once you're drafting, you're looking at the screen and you're scrolling down trying to find the players. No, you'll have them right in front of you because you'll have all the cheat sheets, okay? So go ahead and Google and download and print those out, or just, have them in front of you for when you are drafting. I cannot stress you how much that helps. Okay, so that is tip number 2. Let's move on to tip number 3, which is a post-draft tip. So remember, I talked about pre and post-draft. You have to pay attention to your league's waiver wire. Folks, I can't stress this enough, because I'm going to tell you right now, I would say 60 to 70% of your league, of your team, by the end of the season, which is week 16, week 15, is going to be based off the waiver wire. A lot of people don't understand this, but the waiver wire corrects your mistake. If you drafted poorly, if your guys get hurt, which is not your fault, for whatever reason, whatever happens, waiver wire will allow you to find players to replace those guys, and it will allow your team to succeed. And like I mentioned, 60 to 70% of your team will be from the waiver wire if you play it right. There's always at least one guy worth picking up from the waiver wire every single week. So know when exactly the waivers open, when exactly they close, which players you exactly want to target. Make sure you are paying attention to the waiver wire every single week, or you're gonna lose, because it's very important. Okay, let's move on to tip number 4. Please stash, okay? And what I mean by this is, when you are drafting, so this is a pre-draft tip, when you are drafting players, you're going to want to stash some handcuffs. A lot of people use the end of their rosters, those 11, 12 spots, really, to just pick any players. What I would do is, instead of picking, like I said, a fourth string receiver who might never see playing time outside of an injury, I would take the backup of my starting running back, because the second a running back gets hurt, I will have that backup propelled into a starting role, and now I've got a starter who is insurance for my backup, and I don't have to freak out and lose a valuable piece on my team. Now, is he going to replicate the starter's production? In most cases, he won't, but still, at the end of the day, it will be valuable to go ahead and do that, and a lot of people don't. This mainly applies for running backs, because like I said, with running backs, if the starter gets hurt, the backup is going to be the starter, as opposed to receivers, where there's 3 receivers and you don't know if he's going to be the first, second, or third string receiver. So stashing really helps. So that is tip number 4. Tip number 5, and this is a very hot topic with fantasy football, is waiting on quarterbacks. Okay, so I used to actually draft quarterbacks early, like first round, second round. I used to do that. I used to draft Aaron Rodgers pretty early. And you know what? You still can, for the right quarterbacks. Like I said, maybe an Aaron Rodgers, a Russell Wilson, a Tom Brady, if you will. But for the most part, I would say 80 to 90% of the time, it's just not worth it, folks. You are going to want to wait on quarterbacks. We're in a passing league. Every single quarterback is going to throw the ball a ton. Some of these rookie quarterbacks are going to throw the ball a ton. Remember Deshaun Watson last year, the show he put on? He was a quarterback number 1 in terms of scoring for like 4, 5, 6 weeks. So you can find quarterbacks that will give you that production, and you can wait until even the 10th round for them, okay? So I'm going to tell you guys, go ahead and draft receivers or running backs, again, based on your team league scoring format, and wait on quarterbacks, because I know you want to draft Aaron Rodgers, I know you want to draft Tom Brady, but sometimes it's just better for your team in the end to go ahead and wait on quarterbacks, because you will find guys that might not give you the exact same production, but with just for a little less production, you can get them way later, okay? And to me, that's worth it. So there you have it, folks. 5 tips on how to win your fantasy football league. I hope that helps. If you guys like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please make sure to subscribe. And as always, thanks for watching.